All right, guys, I don't say this often, but this show is going to be a banger. All right, it's a banger because there's some tactical things we're going to cover here on the show today. So you're in luck when it comes to saving money. And who does not like to save money? And this is timely because we are getting towards the end of the year, guys. It is December 2nd, and we are almost to the end of 2025. Can you believe that? We're almost to the end of 2025. Can you really believe that? It's crazy. Makes no sense. But nonetheless, we are here. And so, what are you going to do at the end by the end of the year to maybe save a little money? Now, this would involve buying real estate. Spoiler alert. Okay, so if you're completely opposed to that, that's cool. It may not be the right time for you to do that, but we're going to cover a strategy you can implement right away to get this to work for you by the end of the year. Still, there's still a little bit of time, but you got to act pretty quick. Okay. We're going to dive into that, and we're going to dive into some things when it comes to delinquency rates. What are the delinquency rates in Arizona today? And why are they potentially increasing across America? Or is it some clickbait? Is it some clickbait? We're going to cover that. And then we got a good article here too that's about 2026 predictions. Now, there'll be a couple more predictions we're going to have here on YouTube Live about 2026 because who doesn't like some good predictions? Not for me. I'm going to find articles that talk about predicting the future of real estate here in Phoenix in 2026 so that you are fully prepared and you can track the market as best as possible to hopefully buy that property when it becomes the one you should get. So, and we're going to cover that and more here on today's show. It's going to be a good one. So buckle up here. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to dive right in. But first, you know the deal, guys. We got to share the market index. But before I do that, just put in the chat if you don't mind. Where are you watching from? Okay, where are you watching from? Any questions you have, throw them in there live. I'll answer them and put me on the spot. I don't care. I'm not always right, but I will try to find the answer if I don't know. In the meantime, put it on the screen. Let's go. Here we go. The overall Crawford Market Index right now is 80.4. Guys, it is increased from 79 last week. So we are going up in the marketplace here today when it comes to the CMI, which tracks supply and demand. So that's good news. Now, moving along, let's get right to this hack of what you can do for your tax from a tax standpoint to save a bunch of money. Now, it does include buying real estate. It does include saving on your taxes. Okay. So the government's not going to obviously just give you money, but you have to understand something. The government, and by the way, this is not tax advice. This is not advice from a legal person as well. This is just overall education to use as you see fit. But let me just talk about this here for a second. Now, the government tax code that we all have to abide by when we are citizens of the United States is one that is a series of instructions to get certain behavior to occur from its citizens. Did you know that? Do you know that only about 2% or less actually of the entire tax code, which is quite large, is used to talk about how you pay your taxes? Did you know that? Okay. The rest of it is used to tell you how to not pay taxes. It is true. Oh, this is getting good. Dorm Dad, what's going on vacation? Thank you for checking in from Central Florida. That is I'm extremely gracious that you're doing that and very, very grateful. So here we go. But the tax code, guys, we are talking about how you save money. And the tax code in America is written to spur behavior, to spur activity, because they know they can't do everything. And if they did, and they could do everything, they still couldn't do it as well as the private sector. Okay. Now, when I heard this, that blew my mind. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Okay. So if I just follow the instructions the tax code gives, then I can do some pretty cool things and save on taxes potentially because I'm just following the set of rules they outline for me to follow. Okay. That's an interesting way to look at it, which is the right way to look at it because it's the truth. Okay. So again, here's what, because now there's a lot of things you can do by the end of the year to save on your taxes. Let's be clear about that. Because it's a real estate show, we're going to focus on the one aspect, maybe two, that are real estate related. Okay. And here we go. I'm going to jump in here and share this with you. This is called the short-term rental loophole. Okay. And it's right here. All right. Now, short-term rental loophole. This is very, very interesting. Okay. This is a published article here that I think is really, really good. And this talks about how if you are not a quote unquote real estate professional in the eyes of the IRS. Guys, we need to park on that for a second. Do you know what that means? Okay, now I'm not gonna geek out in this, go too deep in the woods, because that's not what this show is about. But I need to set the table here for you to understand. Okay. Real estate professional means if you are spending 750 hours of your working hours in your life working on your real estate business. Does it mean that you are a licensee? No. You do not have to have a license in the eyes of the IRS to be a real estate professional. You have to just spend 750 hours minimum on working on your real estate business, whatever that may be in real estate, and you need to materially participate. And typically what that means, there's a couple different rules and what that means, but one of them is that you have to spend half of your time or more of your working time working on the real estate business. So if you're a full-time doctor, it's going to be very hard to ever be qualified in the eyes of the IRS as a real estate professional. But there are exceptions, and this is one of them. Okay. And this is a short-term rental loophole in which you can actually take the depreciation, the write-offs, the depreciation, the best way to put it, which is the magic pill, by the way, and you can use it to offset W-2 income. See, on regular real estate write-offs and depreciation, if you are W-2'd, you cannot use the losses of your passive investments to offset your W-2 income. They don't allow that. Not sure if you knew that, but they don't. Okay. So one way that you can actually, that's why they call it a loophole. Even though it's written in the code, it's not a loophole. It's nothing negative or risky. One way you can get the depreciation, the write-offs of your passive investment to basically eliminate or deduct from your W-2 income is through this method. Okay. So let's go back to the article and let's go through it. Okay. The short-term rental loophole. Now, what this means is that you can get the write-offs depreciation and bonus depreciation through a method called cost segregation. Okay. It's a report that you get done by a qualified professional, and they tell you how much they can break down the different life cycles of all the things within a property and what it has. Okay. Different things in property have different life cycles in terms of their usage, right? They depreciate all the way out in maybe 5 to 10 years, maybe 15 years, maybe 37 years, 27 and a half years, right? It just depends on what those things are. Okay. In this example, what you'll do is you'll get not just a cost segregation report, but you are able to do a 100% bonus depreciation as of this year and moving forward. Okay. With the new tax code. Now, what makes short-term rentals different? Now, in this situation, what this states is that you have to have an average stay of 7 days or less. Think Airbnb or VRBO. If you rent this out to a long-term tenant for the course of 6 months or 12 months, this does not qualify. Okay. And what this does, it treats the STR properties as Schedule C business when properly structured, meaning that you can use it to write off your income that's W-2'd. This is amazing. Okay. Let's just break down the numbers. I love the example. Always love the example. Consider a $500,000 short-term rental. Okay. Purchased with $400,000 allocated to improvements. Your annual deduction is $14,545. That is 27 and a half years straight line depreciation, guys. Did you know that if you don't do a cost segregation report where you fast forward depreciation on a property, if you don't do that, then you will just simply take the depreciation divided by 27 and a half years. Hopefully everyone understands that, which in this situation is a little over $14,000. Okay. The first year tax savings at a 35% tax rate. Okay. If you're in the 35% tax bracket, you may not be. So you have to put your tax bracket into this example. Take a screenshot of this if you want to, and put your numbers in, is $5,091. Okay. Now, if you do a cost segregation report with the 100% bonus depreciation, which is amazing, the accelerated components identified are equal to $120,000, giving you a first year deduction of $134,545. That is massive, guys. Massive. First year tax savings at a 35% tax rate equals $47,091. Guys, that is insane. Your first year tax savings at a 35% tax bracket is $47,000. The $42,000 difference in year one tax savings represents immediate capital available for reinvestment. This is insane. Okay. Now, how this works, it talks about the engineering study that needs to be done. Guys, if you just Google cost segregation, reports, companies that do reports, you'll find a list of them that do it. Now, it's not super cheap to do it, okay? But it does bring this down and takes that kind of money off of your income, okay? This is phenomenal. Now, there's a material participation, so you do have to check the box for one of 7 things IRS identifies as material participation, okay? First of all, 7 days or less, average stay. Second of all, you need to hit one of these things right here, okay, which is the 500-hour test. Participate more than 500 hours annually in the investment. So if you have a property manager, it's going to be tough to argue that you do. Okay, so maybe you want to property manage this yourself because it's well worth the money you will save or your spouse will save, therefore your family will save. Substantially all tests provide substantially all participation in the activity. The 100-hour test, participate 100 plus hours with no other individual participating more than that or significant participation. Guys, I hope you're getting the point. Now, that's a lot of numbers and it's not the most fun or exciting thing to go over, but when you're saving that kind of money, it is super fun. It's so fun. It is so fun to save that kind of money and keep it in your pocket as opposed to have to give it to the government when the government is telling you, don't give it to us because we want to incentivize the behavior of providing short-term housing. Think about it. So guys, if you could save, let's just round up to $50,000. If you could save $50,000 in your pocket by simply doing this, would you do it? Okay, now, the key is you have to have it in service, or you have to have it purchased, okay? And you have to have it, I believe, I don't know if you have to have it actually in service, but I think you have to have it advertised for service, okay? So think, and again, check with your CPA, please. Check with your CPA, okay? This is not tax or legal advice, okay? But you can buy the property, close on it, let's say December 24th, Christmas Eve. That'd be a great Christmas Eve present, okay? You close on it, or maybe the 26th, 27th after Christmas, whatever day is a business day there. I don't have the calendar in front of me. And you then advertise it on Airbnb immediately the next day before the end of the year, even though maybe you don't have everything ready to rock and roll perfectly yet. But you can start buying the furniture while you have it in escrow before you close and have that stuff all ready to go and put it in the property, okay? So check with the CPA on some of those things to make sure you get it done so it can count towards your 2025 tax bill, okay? This is huge, guys. Now, this requires you to purchase a property. And I get a lot of people come on social media and tell me, oh, this is a terrible time to purchase property. Okay, now in this situation, we're not talking about someone to buy property to move in and live in to create their own. We are talking about someone who's an investor who's going to buy property and provide short-term rental housing to the masses, to the consuming public, okay? That's different. Now, if you have the money to invest, could you argue there might be a better time to invest if the market goes down? Well, of course, that would be a better time to invest. But if you have a long-term perspective when it comes to real estate investing, guys, and I have 41 properties, so I understand how this works, okay, to at least a little bit. If you do buy that property and you do have a long-term perspective and your exit strategy is to hold that property for quite some time and not have to sell it unless you get caught in a pinch, then it's usually a good time to buy a property anytime you can get a good deal. So what constitutes a good deal? A good deal, there's a couple things that could constitute a good deal. A good deal could be something that meets your model. Well, Kelly, I don't have a model. Well, you can ask me what mine is. I'd be happy to tell you. Comment below and I'll tell you what my model is. And if an investment hits that model, those numbers, take the emotion out of it, I buy. Assuming I can afford it and it all makes sense, right? But if they don't hit those numbers, I don't buy. I don't get caught up emotionally in, oh, it's in a great area. Oh, I love the granite countertops. Oh, man, I could see my so-and-so walking to, I don't get caught up in any of that stuff, right? Does it hit the numbers or does it not? And then then it's yes or no, right? Move forward, don't move forward, okay? So that's something you need to have. The other thing could be tax savings. How much could it save you from a tax standpoint? Now, you should never let the tax savings situation wag the tax dog, meaning you need to go out there and earn money first. Make sure the investment, if you're going to buy the house, is a good investment. Make sure it's a good property, it's priced well, all these things. It hits your model. Make sure that checks all those boxes first, and then could it be a really good tax savings too? Oh, it could. That's just cherry on top of the pie. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And I love some cherries on my pie once you put the whipped cream on, right? So That's the order of operations you should proceed when doing this. But I just wanted to come on here today because it's December 2nd and let you know that there's still time if you're looking for a way, because you're going to have a tax bill at the end of the year. It's going to be pretty substantial. This is a way that you could shelter some of that money by a good investment that hopefully cash flows. Shelter that money, keep it in your pocket to reinvest for other things, or maybe just use for your family, and start your journey as a real estate investor if you already haven't done so. Guys, I'm a real estate investor. I am passionate about real estate investing and all the things that come with it, which are so many benefits, so many more benefits and pros outweigh the cons. I would encourage anyone watching this video to give me a call, shoot me a DM, and let's chat about real estate investing, or just go to Audible and get a book or a podcast and go that route. If you don't want to give me a call, that's totally cool. I'm fine either way, but I know what it's done for me and my family, and I know what it could do for yours, assuming you're in it for the long haul. Okay, this can't be a situation. I'm going to dabble this, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to give it like a year or two. You might want to give it longer than that, because if you go to sell that property in a year or two, it probably hasn't appreciated very much, and therefore you may lose money. Okay, and now there's other things that come with this strategy. When you sell a property, there's depreciation recapture, and we can talk about a couple of strategies with that. Or you could do a 1031 tax deferred exchange, like kind of exchange. So there's all kinds of things you can do, guys. Give me a call. I would love to chat with you about this if you have any interest at all, the slightest. It is not a waste of my time. I can certainly tell you that. And at the end of guys, I'm doing this 20 years. It's a lot more for me now about giving back, because so many people have given to me along the 20-year climb that I've had here in the road. So I am definitely more inclined to give. And by the way, if you give, it just comes back to you anyways. I learned that the hard way, because I wasn't the big giver when I was 22 years old or 23 years old. And I've had to learn to come out of abundance, not scarcity. So anyways, that's just my rant on that. And hopefully you're going to have an abundance mindset this Thanksgiving, this Christmas holiday season, as we end 2025. Now, let's cover a few more things. Do you want to know what the predictions are for 2026? I mean, who doesn't, right? Let's dive into that right now. What are the 2026 predictions in the real estate market here? Here we go. This is from Redfin, okay? Redfin has some good stuff every once in a while, so I like to pull it up, but this might be good, this might be bad. You may agree, you may not agree, but this is what they're saying about 2026. Prediction number 1, mortgage rates will dip to low 6% range, one factor improving affordability. This will help a lot. Matter of fact, here's a graph. Mortgage rates will continue their slow slide, but remain high relative to the pandemic era. It will average 6.3% for the entire year, down from its average of 6.6 in 2025. I think it's going to be a little lower. Personally, I anticipate 6.0 as the average. Honestly, maybe 6.1 by the end of 2026. And here's the pink. There's the prediction. But you can see where they were just in 2022. They average out at 5.3%. Not too shabby, okay? Before we get to number 2, let's check on those interest rates. How are they doing? Well, the 30-year fix today currently sits at 6.3% for the 30-year fix. How about the 7/6 ARM, which is very popular, by the way, right now? Very, very popular. That sits at 5.86, okay? So, guys, if you want to buy a house right now, you know you can go buy a house and get a 5.86 rate today, or something right around there, right? There's level pricing to this, right? That mortgage brokers and lenders will tell you about. That may make that fluctuate, of course. But the point is, that is 5.86, and the 30-year is at 6.3. So you're talking a whole half of a point almost difference between a 7/6 or 7/1 ARM and a 30-year mortgage. So, guys, what that basically means is that on a 30-year fix, you know what that means, right? It's fixed for 30 years. But on a 7-year adjustable rate mortgage, after 7 years, it will adjust to where the markets are at that point in terms of the interest rate. But at any point, you can refinance into that 30-year fix. So you wait until rates get down to 6.1, 6.0, or whatever that number is for you, that magic number that you're comfortable with for the next 27, 28, 30 years at maybe 5.75 if it gets to that point at some point in the future. But do you believe it will get down to 5.5, 5.75 in the next 7 years? And the answer is highly probable, which I believe it is. Then you might want to go that route, because you're not really gambling that much if you are very, very confident that the rates will eventually come back down in the 5s at some point in the next 7 years. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? Because that could be a strategic advantage you have to get your payment down as much as possible. Okay, now going back to that Redfin article, you can see right here that prediction number 2 says Home buying affordability will improve as wages grow faster than prices. Wages grow faster than prices. That is a good prediction, guys. I mean, who doesn't want that? So either way, home affordability will get better here because rates will go down, and home affordability gets better here because wages grow faster than prices. That's exactly what we need here in America today. That's what we need. Okay. We expect the U.S. median home sale price to rise 1% in 2026. The median home sale price, 1%. Prices will tick up only marginally because still high mortgage rates and prices, along with a weaker economy, will curb demand. Home buying will become more affordable because home prices will grow slower than wages for a sustained period for the first time since the aftermath of the financial crisis. That's a long time. The small price increase combined with mortgage rates dipping lower than they were in 2025 means monthly housing payments will grow slower than wages too, which is also very good thing, guys. And let me blow this up for you. Here's the graph. Wages will grow faster than home prices in 2026. You can see the purple line, which is wage growth. You see the red line, which is price growth. Okay. This is very good. You want that purple line above the price growth. And if you see the wage line, I mean, look at this, guys. It wasn't higher than, back in 2006. Okay. There was a little tick right here in 2019. And then, of course, a little bit in 2022. But for the most part, since the financial crisis is a good way to put it. Prediction number 3, home sales will rise 3%. Now, this is different than home prices, which is good. They're talking about a median home sale price increasing 1%, but home sale prices rising 3%, meaning more transactions, which is good for the overall economy. There's a lot of trades that follow the process when a home sells, right? Think about all the trades and the people that get paid off of one home sale occurring, right? Okay, home sales will inch up in 2026. You can see right here, 4.2 is where they're going to. I believe that's million, right? 4.2 annualized rate, 4.2 compared to 4.1, 4.1, 4.1, and in 22 is 5.0. But look in 2021, 6.1 million. That's a lot, okay? We expect a stronger spring home buying season in 26 because mortgage rates were sitting around 6.8 during the spring of 25, and now they're at 6.3. So that will be good. Prediction number 4. Rents will rise as demand for apartments rises and supply falls. Okay. Rents will rise. Interesting, right? Demand for apartments will rise as supply falls because people aren't pulling permits as much as they were a couple years ago. Nationwide, we expect rents to rise about 2 to 3% year over year by the end of 2026, roughly the pace of inflation. Apartment construction has slowed from its surge in 21 and 22. At the same time, many Americans are renting instead of buying because down payments and monthly mortgage payments are expensive. However, in some areas like South Florida and Southern California, tightened immigration enforcement is likely to put a lid on rental demand growth, which will keep the prices where they are or maybe down. Okay. So that can be good for people who are looking to rent. Okay. But in other places where rents go up, not as good. Prediction number 5, high housing costs will reshape households with more roommates and fewer babies. Now, this part will have a significant impact, guys. If this is true, 5 years from now, 2030, guys, it's going to affect the economy overall. 2029, 2030, because we need population growth to sustain a robust economy. And if this is true, that won't happen, right? The improvement in affordability won't be enough to immediately boost homeownership for young families. Gen Z and millennial homeownership rates flatline this year. Guys, did you know that the average age now of the first-time home buyer is 41 years old? The average age, I'll say it again, of the first-time home buyer in America is 41 years old now. That's insane. Okay, this is an affordability problem, and this is an issue where I think the gig economy, right, where people want convenience and they want to just hop on their Uber, click a button on Amazon, get something delivered to them, walk to the coffee shop down below their apartment building or the condo. That's that whole gig economy lifestyle is changing the way home buying is working, and of course, couple that with high prices, and now you have a situation where the first-time home buyer is averaging 41 years of age. This is crazy. This is crazy, right? But this prediction, high housing costs will reshape households with more roommates and fewer babies, is an interesting one, and it very well could come true. We also expect home buying costs to make families smaller. The fertility rate has been gradually declining for years and is expected to continually falling. It's not good either. That's a big problem with Japan's economy, FYI, right now. They haven't had population growth in like a couple of decades, I believe, which is slowing their economy down and no longer as big of a world power that they used to be 50 years ago. Prediction number 6, affordability crisis will unite policymakers across party lines. This would be a good thing. Could you imagine policymakers like coming together? What? Voters in November election, especially young ones, made it clear that lower housing costs is their top priority. Okay, utility costs are too big. They're talking about President Trump maybe declaring a national housing emergency to help Americans afford homes, blah blah blah, and all this other things that are going on. Okay, zoning changes and portable mortgages. We talked about that last week. The 50-year mortgage, probably not a good idea, by the way. But all these things are coming up now because it is such a big issue. Prediction number 7. More Americans will refi and remodel and therefore stay put. Guys, this is a locked-in effect. This is what we don't need. But people are doing it because they don't want to move. It's too expensive. And the rates are higher than what they probably had when they refied in 2021 or 22, right? Okay. Prediction number 8, New York City outskirts, Great Lakes region will be hot. Zoom towns like Nashville and Austin will not. They even made that rhyme. I love this. Okay. Areas close to New York City will attract people who need to commute to the office, and probably New York City is going to continue to struggle with population growth, I would imagine, but the suburbs probably will not, according to this, if it's correct. Okay. New York suburbs like Long Island that are not part of New York City, Hudson Valley, Northern New Jersey, and Fairfield County, Connecticut. Okay. Syracuse, New York, Cleveland, Ohio, St. Louis, Missouri, Minneapolis, and Madison, Wisconsin are housing markets that are most likely to heat up in 2026. Housing markets that probably will cool down: Nashville, San Antonio, Austin, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Miami. Phoenix did not make the list. That's good. Okay. Prediction number 9, climate migration will go hyper local. Okay. Climate driven events like hurricanes, wildfires become more frequent and intense. Climate will become a more popular reason to move. People don't necessarily make moves based on that, like from coastal Florida to the Midwest. Instead, we expect some people living in especially vulnerable neighborhoods to move to less vulnerable parts of the same metro area. Think LA, Atlanta, these big cities that have major metropolitan areas. Interesting. Okay. Number 10, NAR will let local MLSs call the shots, sparking consolidation, which is probably going to be a good thing for the overall consuming public. Actually, number 11, AI will become a real estate matchmaker. I totally agree with that, guys. Our brokerage is actually doing their own AI, not off the shelf, white labeling, and they have a doozy. Let me tell you, it's called Hey Leo, and it is coming to your market very soon. I will be talking about that because it will help you find homes much, much easier and more efficient, and a lot less friction will be on the table. So a frictionless experience is going to be incredible. And the big search portals are coming out with this too. Eventually, Realtor.com, Redfin, and Zillow are working on their own model, but Real Broker is working on their AI, and I've seen a demo in beta right now, and it is phenomenal. Okay. You can literally talk to it. There's no buttons to click and it just knows things. It picks up intuitively. It watches your eyes. You're scrolling. It knows what you're clicking on, and it will tell you, it'll give you very good suggestions as to what you may want to actually look at or buy. Okay. So AI will continue to do that. And those are the 11 predictions of the 2026 housing market. Woo, that was a lot. We have gone 28 minutes here and we're almost done. I want to share just a couple more things with you guys. I mentioned delinquency rates. Okay. Now, what Cromford Report talks about here is that some YouTuber, not a guy like me who says the sky is falling every 5 seconds, said the sky is falling. And the reason why is because they made a claim that delinquency rates are up on quote unquote subprime loans. But that's not necessarily true because FHA loans are by default a subprime loan. And FHA loans are always in this situation where they have a higher delinquency rates because the people who get them are more riskier borrowers. Okay. But at the peak of the bubble, you can see where the delinquency rates were for subprime mortgages that were delinquent by 30 days or more. 2010, look where they were for subprime loans, and FHA, which is a type of that, but FHA is different, okay, is still high back in 2010. But look what the delinquency rates are now for all of these subprime and FHA loans. You can see that they've been steadily decreasing ever since 2010. In fact, the last couple of years, in 2023, when the market was not so hot and was pretty flat, we have less today than we did then. Okay. So overall, what Cromford's saying is that we can see the subprime delinquency is far higher than FHA delinquency from 05 to 15. And then it changed from there. But that graph tells a story all really quick, in that it depends how you want to spin the data. At the end of the day, if someone says subprime FHA delinquency rates are up, that's just a non-factual statement in Phoenix, Arizona, at least. Okay. You can see by that rate that they are, in fact, down and remaining down. Even Fannie and Freddie back loans are down. Okay. So could that change? It could in the future. But as of right now, that is a false statement. And right now, people are, for the most part, are being able to afford their mortgage payment. Okay. Now, a couple more things, guys. This is interesting. Saving for a home. How expensive is it and how long does it take? Well, in Arizona, home buyers rank among the lengthiest waits to save for a down payment. Now, what are those factors? Well, Arizona home buyers need 14.8 years, that's what it says, to save for a 10% down payment. That median home price of $446 with an $81,486 average household income statewide. Okay. Now, first-time buyers represent record low of 21% of home sales nationally. Okay. So what they're saying is that they're taking the average down payment being 10% now. Okay. And they're saying that the median home sale price being $446,900, that is what, approximately about $40,000. We'll roughly make it $40,000 for the 10% down payment. And they're saying in Arizona, given the median home household income right here in the Grand Canyon State of $81,486, that will take you 10 years. I'm sorry, 14.8 years to get there. Here's the graph right here for Southwestern home buyers and how long it takes to save for down payment. Texas comes in at 10 years, ranked number 3 in the entire country. Okay, not bad. Nevada 30, 31, 33, 40, and so on and so forth. But Arizona comes in at, rounding up, 15 years to save for that $40,000 down payment. That's what it says. That takes into consideration the tax burdens, the essential expenditures, et cetera, across the board. Number 1 is the state of Iowa. Okay, where it takes the least amount of time, and it comes in, I believe, at 7.8 years for Iowa, okay, to save for a down payment. And here's this is a cool map right here, guys, by the way. Texas, number 3, right? Shortest time, Iowa, 8.7 years. My fault, not 7.8, 8.7 years. Nebraska, where I'm from, 12 years. What? 12 years? It's crazy. California, 25 years. Forget about it. New York, 23 years. Forget about it. Okay. But this is crazy, right? You can see the light blue is where a lot of the most affordability lies. And it's right down the center of the country. North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, right? And you have some other ones over here. Illinois, obviously, is still pretty cheap. You have Ohio, Pennsylvania. This is a cool graph. If you want your state and you want to know what that time period is, let me know. I'll shoot you that information. Comment below. Okay. That is crazy. I'm not sure if I believe all that, but I guess I have no reason not to. So that's a long time. But get in the game. Start saving early. Save money when you're working in high school. That's what I did. I'm not saying that's what you need to do, but it's a good thing, good habit to get involved in. Okay. Last but not least, guys, another development is coming to Phoenix, guys. More housing is coming because it is needed. Believe it or not, we have the population increase. We have jobs coming here. And down in Goodyear, south of Australia Mountain Ranch, which is a phenomenal place to live, by the way, Australia Mountain Ranch, if you want a master plan community in the West Valley, King Ranch is coming. We're talking 5,700 residential units planned over the next several years. They purchased this site for $22 million, and they are going to build this sucker out over many, many, many years. So, guys, if you are looking for a great place in the Goodyear area, new construction in the next year or two, King Ranch could be a great one to look at. Let me know if you have any questions on that. Man, that was a show. Okay, guys, we went over housing predictions for 2026. We went over a way to save a bunch of money on a tax hack that you can use to save money, keep it in your pocket for 2025 taxes. But you got to act quickly on that one. Okay. What else did we not cover? We covered a lot, guys. And hopefully that wasn't too tactical for you. Hopefully that was a good show. Hopefully if you're watching a replay, comment below, ask questions. Let's get the conversation rolling at any time. If you don't mind liking and subscribing, I would really appreciate that. That way the notices go out to you every time we go live every Tuesday at 4 p.m. local time. Hope all is well. And thank you guys for watching on vacation as well. When you're not working or doing something at your home here in Arizona and across all of America and the world. We get some people watching from Australia sometimes, London. It's pretty cool. Until then, guys, be good. Have a great rest of your day. And Phoenix, as always, keep it classy.